For more juicy Kenyan stories, comment and subscribe to this channel, and also engage with the post to give op advice. My boyfriend and I have been together for about a month and a half, and last night we had sex for the first time. Afterwards, we were laying in bed and talking when he asked me if he was the biggest I had ever had. I asked him if he wanted me to be completely honest and asked if he was going to be upset about my answer, and he said no. I told him, I would say you and my ex are around the same size. It feels about the same. This deeply upset him. He was being cold and distant, couldn't even look at me, and said maybe 5 things to me within the 2 hours I was there before I left his place. I kept apologizing, telling him I didn't mean that sex felt the same, but he couldn't believe me and kept saying I was only telling him what I thought he wanted to hear. I left around 4:30 a.m., and when I got home, I was telling him how sorry I was and that I genuinely didn't mean to upset him at all. He told me that nobody has ever said something so insane to him, and he doesn't think he will be able to be turned on by me again. I woke up for work around 10 and once again apologized, told him I loved him, and told him to text me if he needed anything. He's texted me twice today, and everything he's said has been avoidant and cold. I don't know what to do. I've told him so many times that he took what I said the wrong way, that I'm sorry, and that sex with him felt different than it did with my ex. But he doesn't believe me. He told me he is fearing for our relationship after this. Am I the asshole for saying this to my boyfriend? And what do I do to get him to forgive me? Edit. A lot of people are dogging on me for telling him I love him so early on. We had known each other for a long time before we made things official, so these feelings were developing for a long time. LOL. Commenter 1. Size absolutely matters, but technique and concern for the woman's experience are most important. Too big hurts. Think. Can't laugh, cough, or sit down for 3 days. Too small isn't great, but technique can make up for it. Average is all about knowing what to do with it. Reply. Too big can also cause damage. I had a very uncomfortable, traumatic experience and was bleeding fairly heavily and in pain for weeks later. Thankfully, I went in to get tested and had my doctor examine me physically at the same time. Wound up getting a hysterectomy a year later at the age of 26, though for other reasons that had to do with it and not the damage done. But it took a good 6 weeks or so for the bleeding and pain to stop. I will never understand why men are so obsessed with the size of their peens. If small, incorporate toys into the fun, especially since so many women can't experience an orgasm from penetration alone and still require clitoral stimulation. And their egos are too fragile for even that. Then they're not a good partner. Commenter 2. For real. I've been with men who are quite above average, and it's not even desirable. It's just like a cervix smasher 9000. Give me an average dude who rocks at oral any day over that. I can't say I've spoken to a single woman anecdotally who's a size queen over just wanting their partner to care about getting them off. Commentaire 3. I like huge, but when attached to someone who is willing and receptive to how I want to be pleased. Pounding TF out of someone with no sense of chemistry sounds like I will likely call an Uber and be done with the situation altogether, haha. This also goes for any size TBH commenter. 4. OP needs to also look at the bigger picture of the silent treatment that she's getting after. He asked the question, and even doubled down when she asked if he was sure he wanted to know. Also, her profuse apologizing makes me uneasy because it seems as though they're training a toxic relationship dynamic. If he can't get turned on again because he can't accept that he isn't above average in size, is immature at best. Commenter 5. Exactly this. Dude set himself up and is now blaming op for not feeding his ego. No one has ever said this him before because he never asked before. What a dumb ass he is. He wanted the truth, but doesn't like the truth. Stop apologizing to him as you did nothing wrong. NTA, but your BF is. Commenter 6. Right? My husband isn't small, but he's definitely not the biggest I've been with. He has said he's really glad I had that experience, so I know what it's like. The thing is, the best sex I've ever had is with my husband because I love him, and we're super comfortable with each other, and he is attentive to things I like or don't. The big guy was not comfortable at all, even though he had skills. Bumping my cervix was not a good time. And I had a pretty high one when I had it too. LOL. That said, I'd take a thick one over a long one any day. Commenter 7. I once had a woman make dinner for me. It was awful. Overdone chicken, lumpy mashed potatoes, mushy green beans. We had just started dating, and while I didn't want to lie, I really wanted to get laid. I told her it was just like Mom used to make. She got pissed. Told me if I was going to lie to her, I might as well leave now. I hemmed, I hawed. I came clean. It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't a compliment either. A week or so later, my mother invited us to dinner. On the way back to my GF's place, she punched me. I got the last laugh, though. She married me. Commenter David Barry, a legendary Miami Herald satirist, once wrote this: "When your wife asks you if she looks fat in this dress, the only thing you can possibly do is to fall on the floor and pretend you're having a heart attack. Any other response, and you're in trouble." These are psychological booby traps that are designed to rope another into propping up the inquisitor's weak emotional insecurities. OPE should ditch the emotional weakling in favor of a partner who is less concerned with competing with X's size than having the patience to gently explore OP's individual and unique erotic nature. The appropriate response to, "Am I the biggest you have ever had?" would have been, "I couldn't tell. I wasn't sure you were ever inside me or not, so I faked it so that you wouldn't feel embarrassed." Commentor 9. NTA. You said to him verbatim that he and your ex were the same size, on top of the fact that he wouldn't be mad if you told him the honest truth. He was having an ego trip already going on in his head, and you telling him the truth shattered that ego trip he was having. You didn't tell him that sex between you and him and you and your ex were the same, just the size of the rocket. The trips can be completely different, which they were. If I am being frank with you, get you a man who is confident in his existence, masculinity, love for you, and his package, because you don't need this, nor did you ask for it. Wife of the commenter, a mentor 10. As a woman, in my experience, size is a spectrum. There have been a couple too big. Yes, it hurts. One micro, which would have been okay if he knew how to work with me. But by and large, most penises are really similar. OP's BF sounds a bit immature. Why would he ask? If he was confident in his skills, he wouldn't need to flaunt his size. It also sounds like he may not be all that. Certainly not clitorate. OP. What was there for your BF to gain? Think about it. Honesty wouldn't be a problem unless he's insecure. I'd have to look up the research behind it, but I seem to recall that while many women can enjoy intercourse, most women don't actually orgasm from coitus alone. You deserve a partner that is willing to make you squeal with delight, or however you choose to express it. The fact that post-sex the question of size was the emphasis doesn't make me feel like your BF was all that concerned about how satisfied you were. He has the right to ask whatever he wants, but to show he was thinking of your pleasure, he would have phrased it differently, e. You feel good to me. Am I in the right area for you to enjoy it best? Show me more if what you like next time. Be honest. Am I the biggest you've ever had? Comes across as size leads to pleasure. For the majority of women I know, as well as a few men, it's a non-starter. That's not what makes sex pleasurable at all. All sorts of factors come into consideration, so make sure your partner is willing to explore that with you, as you are with them. This ain't it.